Hello. This is another video where I'm talking about kind of a high-level context in the context of the Yi Dao, about the study of the teachings within the I Ching, um, the spiritual teachings in the I Ching. And I wanted to bring this up because I've had some situations of people talking about the nature of reality, and there's a lot of there's a traditional kind of concept that some people have that our reality is just an illusion. You see this in kind of the Gnostic teachings, and this has affected a lot of ideas throughout history. There are interpretations of Buddhism that use this perspective as well, which I would say are misinterpretations of what the great Buddhas taught. And then there's, on top of that, also the fact that this is a very appealing concept to anyone raised within the postmodern paradigm. Because in our modern Western world, our postmodern Western world, we're generally taught that reality is kind of what you make of it, right? It's the narrative that you apply. And this has caused, this is in some ways might feel liberating, but it's also caused a lot of problems. And then this has been combined with kind of a certain element of narcissism that was set free in the kind of the baby boomer generation. The cult of the self, you could say. And it's funny because this has added up to become kind of the direct opposite of what the genuine esoteric schools taught. There is something that's an illusion. It's not the world, it's you. You're the illusion, right? You're the thing that doesn't actually exist, at least not as you understand it. And so this has caused some serious problems for students. It doesn't just happen in the Western world or for Western students, but it seems to become especially severe for them when they get to that stage and hit that kind of realization, to the point that you've seen there are, people have talked about people that engage in certain forms of meditation without kind of a larger structure or guidance by people that know what they're doing. And, being sold this idea that meditation is going to make you so relaxed and peaceful and whatever else, and then end up falling into like profound depressions not because meditation doesn't work, but because it does exactly what it was supposed to do, which is that it breaks down your conception of the self, right? It breaks away that illusion, at least a little, and then suddenly you don't know what you are, right? And you don't, and something you've thought all your life, that you've been told all your life, which is that you're the most important thing, that's gone away. And so you find yourself in a situation where you think, well, okay, so if everything I thought I was isn't real, then nothing matters, right? Then what am I? Then there's no point in doing anything, right? Why should I do anything? If I'm not real, then nothing matters, right? And this is obviously a real serious problem for people. That it can create very serious difficulties, and it's sometimes very hard from the point of view of a teacher to be able, even if you've got a good teacher, someone who actually has been through this sort of experience, to be able to help you to put that into the right context, to get you into the next stage in that perspective and get you out of that sort of a crisis, or to help you to get yourself out, because he can't get you out. Nobody else can ever get you out of a crisis. Only you can get yourself out of a crisis. But a good teacher can hopefully show you kind of the path that you can choose to walk to get there. But the problem is that to get out of that, it involves accepting the fact that what you thought was true, what you were taught was wrong, and what you thought was true was a lie, right? This is real countercultural stuff here, because if there's one thing that our modern culture, postmodern culture, has taught us, It's that truth is relative, except for you. You really, really matter, right? You're super important, right? And your needs and your feelings are important, and what you believe is really, really important. And you're a super special person, right? We teach our children from the very beginning that they are all super special people that really matter, and whatever they feel really matters. And whatever they're feeling at this moment is super important, right? And what they do should be important to everyone, right? Not just to them, but it should also be important in general. And that at the same time, that all the great truths and all the great concepts and even maybe the nature of our material reality itself, that's just relative, right? That's just about narrative. That's just a kind of an illusion. So we're told that nothing else really matters, but you really matter. And that's exactly the opposite of the fundamental nature of reality. The fundamental nature of reality is that you don't actually matter. That what you think you are isn't actually real. That's the illusion. The illusion is this construction that you've created around yourself that is called the inferior person. That's not the real you. And you've never known the real you, and so you aren't the real you yet. Gurdjieff said, you're not born with a soul. You have to earn one, right? You don't actually even exist yet, right? So you have to become something. You can't just say, well, I'm okay the way I am, right? And I'm really important the way I am, right? And you're not at the center of the picture, right? This is depicted in certain styles of Chinese art in really what I think is a really beautiful way, which is to show this kind of vast landscape, often with enormous amounts of white space, and then this enormous amount of like this natural object, often a mountain or a river or something like that. And then way, 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 way off in like a tiny little corner, there's one person, right? Just this little speck that is a person, and it's not in the middle of the picture. It's not doing something really. It's over there in the corner, just kind of walking along this path, or on a little boat that's going down the river. And this is a much more accurate perspective of kind of the universal concept, right? So one of the first things you have to learn is your own unimportance, and that can be immensely challenging to our perspective in the Western world as it is today. What you are doesn't matter. What you do does matter, but only if you understand that what you are doesn't matter, right? If you get out of this idea of the self-referencing being, where you're in the center of the universe and everything else is in reference to you, if you overcome that, then you can start doing things that put you in a different place. The Argentinian philosopher Jorge Luis Borges, who was a great student of the I Ching, he did an essay on the nature of time, which was this very long essay, which he starts out absolutely defending the idea that time and reality itself is basically an illusion, right? That the physical self is an illusion, that time is an illusion, that space is an illusion. That our nature in the world is an illusion, that all of this stuff is just meaningless, right? And Borges was a great student of the I Ching. In several Spanish editions of the I Ching, you see his introduction to, I believe it was originally his introduction to the Wilhelm Baines translation in Spanish. This essay obviously was originally in Spanish, but I'm going to read a translation of it, not my translation, but of what I think is a pretty good translation from the original Spanish. Just at the very end, because he gives you this whole setup, and then at the end, in the very last paragraph, he says, and yet, denying temporal succession, denying the self, denying the astronomical universe, those are apparent desperations and secret consolations. Our destiny isn't frightful because it's unreal. It's frightful because it's irreversible and ironclad. Time is the substance I am made of. Time is a river that sweeps me along, but I am the river. It is a tiger which destroys me, but I am the tiger. It is a fire which consumes me, but I am the fire. The world, unfortunately, is real. I unfortunately, am Borges. And I think that's just one of the most magnificent depictions of the true nature of reality that I ever read. And it makes me very happy every time I read it, because it's just so spot on. It's so absolutely perfect as an understanding, with a level of poetic mastery that I couldn't reach, and I don't think most people in the world could. And what he's saying there has to do with what I was talking about in that kind of that style of Chinese art. Time is the river that sweeps me along, just like that little figure in the boat on the river next to the mountain, right? But I am the river. It's the tiger that attacks me, but I am the tiger. It's the fire that burns me, but I am the fire. You see similar descriptions of this in the Bhagavad Gita, where it's said that, I am the person making the sacrifice, and the fire that consumes the sacrifice, and the sacrifice itself. What this means is that when you get out of this idea of your own centrality, when you break the illusion of the inferior person, of this little self that is self-contained and self-referencing, that is at the center of the picture, when you realize that's all a fraud, and instead you're just a little guy in the corner of the picture going along the river, then you're not separate from the river. Because the thing that makes you so small when you think you're what matters is that you've set yourself outside of everything else. You've made yourself the center of a tiny little universe. But if you overcome that, then far from nothing mattering, that's the only way anything can matter. That's the only way what you do can matter, because now you're not the center of some tiny little self-contained universe where the only thing that matters is actually you. You are a part of this much vaster picture, this huge image, this panorama that you are absolutely one with. You're not separate from it. That's union, one of the four aspects of virtue, of power in the Yi Dao, in the system of cultivation. You've become part of this bigger picture. So when you ask, well, what does it matter if I'm not real? Well, it only matters if you're not real, because then you're not this thing that's like holding out and separating yourself from the world. Become one with the world, and then what you do will matter. If you don't matter, you have nothing to lose, right? So then what you do can matter. As long as you think you're the what matters, then you've got everything to lose. And so you can't interact. You have to shut out the world. You have to separate yourself from it. So you can do things, great things, once you are not in the center of the picture, once you're in the corner of the picture, once you're understanding that you're not the thing that matters, that you are the illusion, and that the world is real, and be a part of that real world. Go into it and join it, unite to it and love it. And then you can do great things, not just attempting to do things for yourself, but doing great things that are things that you will never live to see the result of, right? You become a part of space and time. You become part of things that happened thousands of years ago. And what you do will have repercussions that will happen thousands of years from now. And you can do them in a way that is then conscious within that path, within the Tao, that will allow you to have those positive effects, to make a change that matters in the world. So this is an anti-Swami message, right? It's the opposite of what most New Age teachers today will be telling you. The world is real, you're not real, right? So get out of that and earn your soul by becoming part of the universe. Do that. And if you want to know more about one way you could try to do that, get in touch with me about applying to join the Yi Fa Society. And if you just want to stay in touch, if you're not too sure about the Yi Fa Society yet, well, check out the rest of my videos. Be sure to subscribe. And also sign up for my newsletter, where once or twice a month you'll get an email with links to my various teachings on different social media. And if you sign up, you'll get a free PDF copy of The Path and the Power, which is my new interpretation and commentary on the Tao Te Ching. If you haven't got the Magician's I Ching yet, obviously you should purchase it. But if you do have it, then you'll probably want The Path and the Power as a companion volume, and it's completely free in PDF form. It's not available yet in print. Maybe someday it will be. But for the moment, you can get it for nothing just by signing up for the newsletter. So feel free to check that out. Thank you very much.